Hey everybody, John Gums at the state wrestling tournament. Going to talk to a legend from Parkston, South Dakota, here, John Gilman. John Gilman was promoting wrestling before I was born, probably. And actually, he's the one who inspired me to do a lot of the Dakota Grappler stuff. So I'm proud to have him on this afternoon and basically ask him a few questions and talk a little wrestling. And so, John, first question I got for you is, when did you start wrestling yourself?
When I started, it was in 1973.
Okay.
In the fall of 1972, I got hired as the head football coach. And he said, "Well, yeah, you're the head football coach. You can help with wrestling too, can't you?" I said, "Well, yeah, I guess." And he says, "Well, right now the head coach has quit. Could you take the job?" I said, "Jerry, I've never seen a wrestling match." "Oh, okay. Well, we'll keep you in mind though for the job." So that was my beginning, and I just started. I knew nothing from the beginning. I just started learning it in 1973 from a lot of dang good coaches.
Okay. Feel free. Who were the first coaches you worked with?
Mike Heisinger.
Okay.
Was the first coach, and then Gary Keck. If you remember Gary Keck.
Yep, I do.
And then after that, Andy Tate.
Yep.
And I learned a lot from Andy Tate, and I learned a lot of things from. After that, I worked with several different coaches. Tom Reef I was with,
okay,
and then Herb Harris. Herb Harris and I worked together for a long time. It doesn't seem like it's been 15 years since he quit working this, but I'm still hanging on.
Okay.
Now, I'm claiming the record for wins for assistant coach in South Dakota. Nobody can touch me.
The wins as assistant coach.
Yep.
There we go. All-time win record.
Yep. I got the record, and nobody's going to challenge me, I'm sure, on that.
Well, I tell you what, I don't know if too many people want to try for that one, but it's pretty good. No, I got a couple good questions for you. You've been in Parkston pretty much the whole time, correct?
Right.
And you guys have had some great wrestlers along the way.
Yep.
Let's start naming some of the first state champions you remember from the Parkston going back.
Mike Long.
Okay.
Or not Matt Long.
Matt Long
was the first one for us. Two. Yeah, Kevin Fergan. That's the brother-in-law of our coach, the father-in-law of our coach now.
Okay.
Green. We've had the Reef boys.
Of course. Riley.
We've had
Reef
Ryan
and
Meyer.
Okay.
We've had Wes Dvorak. We've had Jeremy Eimers. We've had Maury Long. We've had
and don't want to skip anybody, but it happens. Guys have got a great tradition down there. In fact, I love going down to Parks. In fact, I have a hard time getting out of there.
Yeah, it's been great. We were on a run. We're young now. Like our AD said when we had the 3-year run, he says, "Enjoy it while you can, because it ain't gonna last." And we're going the other way now. We've got about 7 8th graders playing on the varsity this year.
Wow.
So we're building from that. We don't have many high school kids right now, but we're building from that. So we're at the bottom right now, and we're climbing right now. So I'm still trying to help.
So tell me when you started the Gilman newsletter and when you were starting to do that, because the whole idea was, guess what? In the state, it was just, for me, it was impossible to find results, and I relied on you getting kind of the results and getting them out to the coaches.
It was funny. We were at a meeting one day, and you'll never guess who. Gilman, why don't you start doing a little newsletter? Kenny Rummel.
Oh, yeah. That's the PG method because it probably wasn't any PG part of that.
He says, "Why don't you start a little newsletter and kind of tell what's going on in the state?" And I says, "Well, okay, I guess I could start trying to do something." In the last 18 years, you put me out of business. Technology took for a while there. I had guys calling me all the time.
Oh, somebody calling me. Apologize, guys. Well, son, but I'll get them back. No, technology does make a huge difference, but the whole thing was the thing that they kept doing and keep doing was introduction. Your first page telling what's going on. You always had little stories, and that was that part. I still have those.
Oh, yeah, I've got all mine too. Optometrist, anything you're allowed. He says, I miss the newsletter. We kept going 18 years, but my subscriptions just went all. You get it instantly. But I used to have guys calling me day and night. And then the one thing we used to really enjoy was the night of the regions. we call all of us and we put together. And I had guys call me all kinds of time. I know about 1 o'clock at night, all done, and all of a sudden, here's my phone rings. Gilman, you got those right? You got that stuff? You got rumble again. 1 o'clock. And then the phone ring at 7 o'clock in the morning. And then a guy just called me and said, "Well, should I move my kid up to 180, 195, or what should we do? Who's going to be there this year?" And I said, "Well, I ain't sure either." He said, "What do you think we should do? Let him go 26, let him go 32, things like that." I miss that now because it's
the strategy and what's out there. He knows where he's at now. Now a track, but. Yep. I remember those days too, going back and wondering, coming out of your region, there was no seeds going into state.
No.
And so the seeding was way different. Guess what? Who are you going to match up against? We need to have, that situation also came into consideration. And who are your main rivals for teams as you went through the dual wise, over the years for Parkston?
Wagner.
You guys at Wagner?
It's got to be number one. Wagner's got to be number one. Bonham number two. Those are probably our biggest rivals. The Wagner duo used to draw, 500, 600 people.
Mm-hmm.
Now we were down this last week, and I think the last one we had about 100 people there.
Yeah,
and about 6 or 7 forfeits. But that used to be the duel. That the biggest one of the year was the Wagner duel. Bonham had when we wrestled Bonham had a run of terrible. They couldn't beat us. One year they were going to easily beat us. Nights before, a kid got caught drinking. Another year they were going to beat us. Kid got caught wearing suiting and got thrown out. Another time they were going to beat us, and all 5 of them came down with a stomach flu. And it was constant every year. One year they beat our 3 best kids. That's when the coach from Sturgis was there. He came out and he says, "Jesus, we beat their 3 best kids and still lost the damn match." Those by far, I'd say Bonham and West are still. Howard has been a big rival for us too, wrestling Kenny all the years, and those probably are the biggest things, the biggest ones.
How about the Little B? When did that get going?
Little B got going. Well, to tell you the truth, they got going about 1976, I think, or 7. We started out with it as a dual team tournament. Well, no, it started out as an A-B tournament when schools had full A teams and full B teams. Mm-hmm. It was Lennox, Canton, us, and Winter. It was a 4-team deal, and we did that for a couple of years. Then we went to a dual team deal. Then we started the Parkston wrestling tournament. And one year we had the top 8 teams in the state in it. So I made a poster. I says, "This ain't the big B, this is the little B," and it stuck.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yep, it stuck from right there. That's when we got it named, Little B, after that. And it's been a great tournament. For years, we just had all South Dakota teams in it, but now the last few years we've brought in some of the major Iowa teams in the area, and it's really, really made it well. Like, for example, the Western Springs Heavyweight. Okay, that was the last match of the tournament this year. He got beat 12-10 by the Iowa kid. It was a heck of a match. So that's helped it too. That's helped us keep the tournament very, very, very strong.
I don't know if there'd be any contest to this question though, but basically, I've always considered Parkston a wrestling community. Is it still the wrestling community?
I think so. Yeah.
I know that they love their baseball and their other things in the summer.
Baseball is awful strong too in Parkston. But let's just say we have to have help for a tournament. Yeah, they know it.
Yep.
We've got the
whole
just
community.
Like that. Oh yeah, any kind of tournament, a JV tournament, or we had our AAU tournament last week. Ton of workers. Have no trouble getting people to work whatsoever. It's just very, very, very strong community that way. Baseball is very good there also too, but we got the families. Still got the family. We don't have the families of 20 kids anymore.
Not the Catholic families of the
old. Not the big ones. No, and no girls yet. So
no girls wrestling.
Not yet.
Parkston.
Not yet.
It's going to take it. It's going to take a little while for some of the towns to adjust to that. But
about 3
you probably
years
had
ago,
enough tough girls to do it in the past.
About 3 years ago, we had a girl. She in CrossFit, and I know dang well she would have just kicked the living crap out of a lot of them.
Yep.
But no girls, not so far.
We'll have to see how that goes. A couple more questions.
Sure.
How about coming to the state tournament? What does that really mean to you and for the sport itself? Like having it this year, COVID, and having all the issues before.
Well, tell you the truth, at the beginning of the year, I didn't know if we'd get this far.
Mhm.
Because one outbreak and you could just shut down the whole thing. A lot of states. I'm still the South Dakota delegate for the National High School Association, so I was in some of these other schools. All I have to do is name a coach of the year. But anyway, a lot of states didn't have it. Some states went down to taking 8 kids to the state. Some took 32 kids to the state.
Mhm.
Some different rules. Some states you couldn't coach at all. You had to bring a TV in, a monitor in.
You couldn't be in the corner.
You could be in practice room. You couldn't do anything.
Practice room even.
No, in the practice room you could not do anything. You had to show it on film.
How about testing at the high school level? They do that anywhere?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. No. But this is my 48th tournament, 4A's tournament. So I've missed 4B tournaments since '73. But things have changed a lot. The quality on the top is still as good,
Mm-hmm.
but the quality down below isn't like what it used to be. It used to be like you never know, a 4 or 5 could come into this tournament and knock off number 1. It don't happen very often anymore.
That's right.
Maybe you got 1, 2, and 3, maybe. Not very often you got a 4th kid that's as good as those top 3 kids. I think that's the biggest change, the quality and the numbers.
How about this? How about the style? It's much faster nowadays. Not as much control. You go back to even the riding time, going back to the '70s.
Well, riding time disappeared the year I came, so we never had riding time in high school when I was there. But you're building better athletes now. You're building awful. In the early days of wrestling, you just want to grab them and throw them down. And there's a lot more technique, and you got a lot of excellent coaches out there teaching technique. Technique
Mm-hmm.
is the biggest thing, and conditioning. My thoughts. The first thing I always think about it, if a coach comes in, I want those kids about through 2 to 3 days a week crawling out of that room for condition wise. And if you aren't doing that, then you're not going anywhere. That's got to be one of the beginning things, that the conditioning program and your technique and your relationship with your kids too is very important. If you come in there and think you're all-time God and everything you do is right, most of the time a kid, I don't care who the kid is, when he's a 3rd, 4th, 5th grader, he picks up his style, and you aren't going to change it. You might take technique, you might trick it a little bit, do a little bit with it, but you're not going to change him. If he's like, we got one kid that wants to throw a headlock all the time. Well, we can't change him. My son was the same way. He wanted to throw headlocks all the time. It's hard to change him when they get that old. But technique, conditioning, still in my book, are the most important things in the wrestling. Okay. And relationships with your kids. Now, our coaches, and we've got a ton of I'm a volunteer coach. We got 2 other volunteer coaches, and we got 2 assistant coaches and the head coach. And next year we'll have 2 more. And in our kids program, we've got couple of kids that are both high state placers that are running the program. So things are very, very well established down there. We're very, very solid. Some of these schools have got 2 coaches at all, period.
And they have to do everything.
Yep. And sometimes they lose that coach every other year. They got to find somebody new to come in and do it. Find a dad or somebody who'll take the program. We don't have that problem in Parkston.
What's your belief on guys that deciding to wrestle 12 months out of the year? Those it's a little controversy sometimes in South Dakota, but they kind of have their own goals. But I believe in a multi-sport athlete. It's the rare few that do anything else that's kind of make them a more rounded person in general.
Well, my son was just an average athlete. He played football, baseball, track, and wrestled. Mm-hmm. And in the guard. And now he's in the guard for about 25 years too. So he's, but yeah, it's hard to say. There is so much of that anymore. That, concentrate. Well, we lost the Reef kid his senior year. He could have been a 3-time state champion, but he
went and played football down in Iowa.
Well, he went down early. He went down early a year and skipped. He graduated at semester time, and went down to be a.
But he wanted so bad to be in the pro football.
Yeah,
and he did.
No, this is brother. Oh,
the younger one. Yeah. Well,
yeah. Riley Reef could have been a 4-time champion, but he hurt his wrist during the football season, and he couldn't rest his senior year.
Okay. He's another guy I want to get on here, but he's almost impossible to get a hold of.
You said baby.
Okay.
Yeah. I it's funny. I'll go to our kids still, and I see the heavyweights going out there, and then I see pretty good ones, and I says, you know how long that kid would have lasted with Reef?
I would have loved to seen Reef in his prime and Hutmacher.
Yep.
I tell you what,
Hutmacher would have been a little bit bigger than us.
Yeah, Nash and him would have been a battle because he was an athlete.
Yep.
But Nash has been just size and strength. I would think a real athlete would have gave him a heck of a match. I think
it was funny. Reef got in the finals. I think he had a Sunshine Bible kid in the finals his junior year, and he had to wrestle with him. Most of the time he was done 25, 35 seconds. The match was over with. Or they just say, forget it, we ain't going to wrestle with you.
So I remember him wrestling McCleary in these nationals. He was a multiple state champion in North Dakota. And, man, I thought he could have played pro football, but he went to a smaller school and got kind of stuck there, and Reef picked the big school.
Well, Reef, down they talked to, down in Iowa, they talked to Gable, and they said, why didn't you try and get him to wrestle? And they said, we've got a rule here, one sport. And they said, and he asked Gable, they said, well, would he made the team? And Gable said, made the team? We were figuring on him being a Big Ten heavyweight champion his freshman year. So,
guys have had some great athletes down there.
Yes, we have. We've had some outstanding kids. The one kid, this Dvorak kid, his senior year, he was the most valuable player in the Dome in football. He was state champion in wrestling. He won 3 events at the state track meet. Otherwise, he didn't have much to do that year.
Yeah. So I tell you what, how about what's going on now? How do you like the state, how it's going this year? Having it split up with the duels and kind of all spaced out?
I like the program right now because we got too much time. The first day we were here, we were done at noon.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to have the duels, let's have the duels Thursday.
Or Saturday, how about?
Well, yeah.
I think it could be after the individual because
it could be either way. I didn't go to the coaches meeting. I don't know what they decided on there, but everybody's got their own opinion on what to do. But also, I think if you're going to have a true state dual tournament, you can't opt out of it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because we had 2 teams.
Well, Phillip
and Bonham, and both Phillip and Bonham probably would have
been
in
the mix. Yeah.
Yes. So if you opt out of that one, you got to opt out of the individual too. So that's one of my thoughts on that. Maybe I don't know. Do we need 8 teams in duels? It was 83-0.
Yeah, I think if you put the Phillip in and you put in, Bonhomme, it's not going to happen that way. I think we did kind of scratch the bottom of the barrel a little bit there and trying to find somebody to get in for 8. How about this? North Dakota allows for some classes to bring 3 extra wrestlers at the region time, but they didn't have regions this year. They qualified everybody in North Dakota this year.
Yeah.
And so that was different. So you got 32-man brackets all the way around. But in Class B, you probably could have 64-man brackets in South Dakota. But what would be some type of proposal? They think about weight cutting. It's not quite what it used to be, but they did it several years ago in Class A because they had good wrestlers, and they decided that every team could qualify 3 extra at any weight class they could put them in. And if they qualify, they qualify.
That would have been great for us when we were in our prime because we had state players sitting on the bench. They weren't on the varsity. Yeah.
And so one of the stats in North Dakota, there's a kid that's a 3-time state placer who's never been on varsity. Yeah. He was in the finals this year, lost to his own teammate, Bismarck High.
Yep.
And he's placed 3 times. It's kind of I'm going to do a story on him. I promise you out there if you watch this Bismarck people.
I totally agree. I think you should be able, because sometimes you got kids. We had a situation right now. We had a kid at 13. They wrestled and they wrestled and they wrestled 1-point matches. We had it back when Ryan Meyer, when he was state champion.
Mm-hmm.
He had a Fergan underneath him, and when they were like 110 pounders, 12 pounders. Mm-hmm. Every match was 2-0, 2-1, 2-0, 2-1. Fergan could never beat him, but Fergan would have placed probably in the second in the state to Meyer if he could have done it. But,
and I tell you what, that'd be one thing for later, because I tell you what, it keeps that kid in the room, it keeps them practicing, and it keeps the team atmosphere good. They don't hate each other when they're losing in the room because guess what? They're still going to get an opportunity at the state.
The only objection I ever heard about it was from some small schools. Will say, "Well,
everybody's
going to knock us out. It's going to knock our kids out." Maybe like you say now. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Canton. Maybe Brett Canton brings 3 more kids. Well, they might knock 2 or 3 more kids out of the state tournament. That's the only objection I'd have to it, I guess. There, but we've had years like that where we could have very easily taken a 2nd and 3rd kid to the state because they didn't get to wrestle. That was it.
That's what becomes tough. Well, I'm going to cut it here, guys. We're going at 20 minutes. We're going to go down and try to find some other people, but I appreciate it. We're going to visit
Thank
I tell
very
you
much. I
what,
appreciate
you led me into doing this, and I love promoting the sport. You really did.
Yeah. Well, I should be still been mad at you for not knocking me out of business.
I didn't mean to that way. No. You guys have a great day. Make sure you watch the finals. Placing matches are coming up. We'll have a lot more out there. Catch you guys later. Bye.